Hi there, and welcome to HR Live. We have a very special session for you today as we are joined by OnDemand HR Managing Director Clint Indrell. He's going to be sharing with us how our essential support members are able to manage their HR and workplace relations requirements from 5 employees all the way up to 150 employees and beyond without the need of an internal HR resource. Of course, HR Live is the weekly live show where we take a HR or workplace relations challenge that is impacting businesses, we unpack it, and we offer some tips, tricks, and strategies that businesses can adopt to navigate through. My name's Andrew Kalita. I'm the Operations Director of OnDemand HR, and I'm just very excited to introduce Clint Indrell, who founded OnDemand HR in 2010 and has the business working closely with over 400 businesses across a wide variety of industries and sizes, helping them to deliver certainty, confidence, and clarity for all of their HR and workplace relations affairs. Clint loves to be interactive and go off on a tangent if he feels it's going to deliver value. So if you have any questions throughout this session, please feel free to fire them in the chat, and he'll do his best to tackle them live. If we're unable to get to them on the stream, you'll see at the bottom of the screen you have an opportunity to schedule a free consultation that's backed up by a strategic action plan with one of our experienced HR consultants. So with all of that out of the way, welcome to HR Live. And Clint, why don't you start off by telling us a little bit more about yourself?
Yeah, look, thanks very much, Andrew, for that very kind introduction. Great to be here today on your HR Live, and been really enjoying the other sessions that you've been running over the past few weeks. Look, a little bit about myself. For those who don't know me, obviously my name's Clint Indrell. I started OnDemand HR in 2010, primarily because I saw there was a gap in the market for small to medium business, particularly when it came to industrial relations advice. There just wasn't really anything in that space at all for SMEs around about that time. Obviously, there is a few players in that space now, but that was certainly something that I saw at that time, and why essentially we created OnDemand HR. But prior to that, I worked in a number of human resources roles with Clubs New South Wales, Burwood RSL, Orica Australia, which was part of the Dulux Group, was part of the Orica Australia at that time. I've got a Bachelor of Business, Human Resources and Industrial Relations from Western Sydney University. Outside of work, I've got 3 kids. I've got 2 boys and a girl, 7, 6, and almost 2. I coach 2 soccer teams along with running the business. I've been doing a lot of running, probably in the last year. My wife got me into it with all the lockdowns going on last year, and cracked 50 minutes for 10Ks twice this week. So pretty happy with how I'm going with that. Done quite a bit of indoor cricket commentating as well over the years, and I've done a few emceeing of a few weddings and things like that. So I enjoy those things when I get the opportunity to do them, which is not that often, but sometimes. And yeah, that's about it. It's a little bit about me, and I guess what I do in my spare time, and obviously how OnDemand HR came to be.
Sounds like you got a lot on your plate. I'd hate to see your calendar. Look, in simple terms, getting into the content now, in simple terms, before we get into the nitty gritty and the detail, can you tell our audience a little bit about the OnDemand HR Essential Support membership, how it adds value for the businesses, and most interestingly, what types of businesses is it designed to help?
Sure. Look, we designed Essential Support really to deal with the fundamental issues that small to medium businesses encounter on a day-to-day basis in relation to HR and workplace relations. We really designed it for any business between probably anything as small as 5 employees to we've got clients that have got 150 or more employees without any internal HR manager. And really what we've come up with is all of the key things that they would deal with on a day-to-day basis, managing their employees, dealing with issues, addressing those issues as they arise, and obviously having that contact with line managers and building that rapport, building their confidence in dealing with those issues, but also giving them specific advice and solutions on how to address certain things.
Fantastic. And it sounds like it's a membership that's designed, and probably flowing on from this, for businesses that don't have the internal, I guess, HR expertise and just can't get those issues resolved for themselves. And a common question that we get when we're speaking to potential clients about the membership is, why should they use on-demand HR or any external HR consultant instead of simply looking to put on an internal HR resource to plug the gap?
I think there's a few challenges with having an internal resource, really anything below probably 100 employees. And the two challenges are, number one, if you have the budget for an internal resource, then you ultimately are only going to get one person. So that one person will have a series of skills, but ultimately won't have all of the skills required for a HR function in a business. And unfortunately, not every person knows everything about human resources and workplace relations. And that's why a team-based approach, we believe, is better. And what we offer in terms of certainly essential support is the benefit of a variety of different consultants. So consultants that are specialized in representing clients in the commission, consultants that are specialized in modern awards and answering technical questions on those things, consultants that are specialized in recruitment, consultants that are specialized in restructuring, government regulations and things like that. So the collective benefit of those, 5 or 6 minds is far better than the one mind or the only one person looking after those things. And sure, what you'll often find is having an internal resource is that you'll end up needing external assistance anyway. And typically, the cost of that internal resource can be quite significant and much more than significantly more than an external resource like on-demand HR would provide.
Okay, thank you. I guess moving down the path, let's say I'm a business that's decided to engage an external HR provider to provide support. I don't want to go down the path now of hiring an internal resource. I realize it's probably a little bit cost prohibitive for my business. Why do you think that on-demand provides advice that's a little bit different to what others might be providing in the marketplace?
My observation of the advice that a lot of businesses get is that either most of the time it's just far too conservative, and that's normally one of two reasons for that. Often, what I find when businesses are getting legal advice is that it'll be very conservative purely because the client. There seems to be this perception that they don't want the client to engage in any kind of activity that might have some risk attached, even if it's for their commercial benefit. Then you've got other advice that comes from a place of this advice is married to some sort of insurance policy. And what that insurance policy does is dictates the conservative advice because you're not wanting to trigger a claim. It's a little bit like, the sort of the tail wagging the dog sort of situation. So I think where on-demand HR is different is that, number one, we're not married to any, insurance policy. Number two, we're not lawyers. And number three, we've had, experience in tribunals and the commission. So we do come and we give our advice from a place of understanding risk. And that's very important, because if you don't understand risk, if you've never appeared in the commission, well, how can you give businesses advice on performance management? How can you give businesses advice on, termination of employment and those sort of things, risks that might come out of an investigation and so on? You're really flying blind if you're offering that advice without that perspective, or if you're giving that advice with some sort of, handbrake like an insurance policy. I think that's also compromised. So I think that's where we are quite different from other providers, in that you've got that unique mix of the experience without the conservative, necessarily risk-based advice. And we're really trying to focus on the commercial outcome for the business and how to get to that commercial outcome.
And I think just extrapolating on that, just something I was reflecting on as you were speaking, I think because of the, let's call it, in comparison to some of the other players in the marketplace, the boutique nature of on-demand HR, we're very, I guess, strict about which members we take on, the number of members we take on, etc. And because of that, I think that, yourself has a lot of oversight, if not doing some day-to-day work with the clients as to the matters and the questions and the challenges that come in to the business from our members. And why I'm sort of harping on that is it's, I guess, your mindset just from knowing you tends to be business first, HR second. That's kind of from my observations of the way you think. And our clients and our members benefit from this because they get that business experience from the owner of the business involved in their day-to-day advice and giving oversight to any challenges that come through. And that really drums home the commercial nature of the advice that we provide as a business, because it's coming from a business owner rather than some fresh out of uni person or whomever it may be, someone that's got a little bit of skin in the game that understands how these decisions are made in mitigating risk and taking action, and that balance between the two. So another common question that we get is, why has OnDemand HR gone down the membership model? Can't we just come to you when we've got a problem, get access to ad hoc advice on an hourly rate or something along those lines? Why have we chosen to go down the membership path?
What we found, I mean, obviously, look, we've had a membership-based model now for, it's sort of going on about 3 years. And prior to that, we used to, engage in a lot of ad hoc work with different clients on various different things. And what we found that really encouraged was it encouraged clients to do everything wrong and then come to us to just clean up situations time after time, just firefighting all the time. And that wasn't, well, certainly it wasn't. The most important thing is it wasn't in the client's interests to act in that way, because there's all of these unintended or, how do I put this, indirect costs that come along with that particular process. And, we're seeing some where just stupid underpayment claims or things like that can just be, $20,000 in one hit, or, $15,000 to settle an unfair dismissal or something like that. So what we wanted to do was we wanted to give clients the comfort and the pricing structure to just come to us as frequently and as often as possible. And in fact, we sort of said to our clients, look, that's the only way we want to really engage with you, is that we want you to be comfortable. We want you to come to us as often as you need. And obviously, look, our membership's scaled according to, size of SME. Some, obviously 100 is going to be a larger membership than a 10-employee business. But ultimately, we want them to have comfort in coming for solutions early. And then what that does is it gives us the maximum opportunity to influence the outcome that the client wants. And what we've really seen in all of this is that since we've implemented these memberships, is that the number of claims that we're dealing with and cases in the commission has significantly gone down. I mean, I used to run, 15, maybe more matters a year. And, we are getting very few and far between claims. And that's because we're just managing issues early. We're managing these things early and giving clients direction on what to do. And the pricing structure is supporting them in coming to us as soon as they think there might be an issue ahead, not 5 steps later after, the lack of expertise internally has stuffed everything up and they've come for a damage control sort of cleanup job. Sure, we can do that as well, but it's really in the interest of the client to come to us early, and our memberships have supported that particular mindset shift.
Okay. That's really good. Look, I want to get into, I guess, everything that's included in the types of matters and all those sorts of things. But before we tackle that, I was reflecting back on a session that we had a few weeks ago with Jason Norrie about our workplace relations review. And I'm interested, from your perspective, why is it so important that a new essential support member to have the right structures in place, such as what we do in our workplace relations review, to make their support membership and their essential support membership more effective?
Yeah, I look at this workplace relations review, and it's kind of, if you can think of the human body, it's like the skeleton of the human body. So basically, you've got a situation where the workplace relations review, the award coverage understanding and sort of designing the remuneration and wage structures for that business, implementing the employment contracts for various different streams, implementing the policies, dealing with things like casual conversion and so on. Those are all what I would call the skeleton of what a good business should have for its HR and workplace relations affairs. And then what that does is it really makes the essential support and the day-to-day advice much more efficient. We're not dealing with flawed structures, flawed processes, policies that don't exist or might not be to the standard that is needed. So really, that workplace relations review sets everything up for basically the flesh of the body, which is the day-to-day issues, resolving those issues efficiently and having that all nicely structured, so that we can, as I said, work through and achieve the commercial outcomes of the client.
That's a very interesting analogy. I wonder if that one will get some legs. Maybe the essential support can be the organs.
Something like that.
Yeah. We'll work on that. We'll come back to you. So let's say I'm a workplace. I've got essential support membership. Who within my organization can contact OnDemand HR as part of their membership? Do I have to nominate, for example, a key person that is dealing with OnDemand HR, and all of my internal people have to come through this key person in order to get access to OnDemand HR's support? How does it work?
Look, I think different small business or small to medium organizations have different ways that they work with us. My preferred way to work with our clients, and look, I think a lot of our clients operate in this way, is just to have their management team or any of their leaders accessing us. So for a business with 120 employees, that could be a dozen people, that could be 12 different people or more accessing us for advice on a day-to-day basis. And what I love this direct to line manager contact, because number one, it gets rid of the double handling of just taking it to someone in the organization who then takes it to them and they come back again and make changes and so on. But it also builds their knowledge and skills and experience in these areas, to the extent where over time, generally what will happen is the line manager, who might spend 30 minutes on the phone with you for the first time they have this kind of issue, after some time and some coaching, it might end up being 10 minutes on the phone the next time around or the time after that. So look, we encourage direct to line manager. Obviously, in a larger situation, in a small business of 15 employees or something like that, sure, you might just have one person who's calling us. It might be the director or the general manager or something like that that's contacting us for that advice. So it does vary, but we certainly encourage as many people who are managing staff in the business to be having contact with us one way or another. Typically, the best way to be seeking advice would be using our advice email, which is just advice@ondemandhr.com.au. And what that enables us to do is allocate the best person to the job. So all of our consultants will know your business. You won't be ringing us up or emailing us and us going, hang on, what does that business do again? Can you tell me a bit about what you do? We will know what you do in advance. So all of us will have seen the workplace relations review stuff that's done. That sort of sets up, again, the skeleton for what we know about the business. And then we can go into advising you straight away. There's no time wasted in explaining things over and over again. So, we also have our contact details available, but probably the easiest and simplest way to do it is just to literally send us even just a quick request on advice@ondemandhr.com.au, and then we can allocate the best person to take that issue forward.
Yeah, I think just pulling out on the direct to line manager part of what you were speaking about, I think the other point around that is it's removing a friction point for the larger businesses to reach out and get some advice before they take action. And that really goes back to the other point, whereby we want to be involved in as many matters as we possibly can in relation to our clients' HR and workplace relations affairs as early as possible, because that's when we have the maximum influence to be able to, I guess, achieve an outcome or desired outcome and the most options available to us. So we want to remove as much friction as possible for people to come to us for advice before taking action. I think also when it comes to your HR and workplace relations affairs, training is really an essential part, both from a compliance perspective on the one hand and a development point of view or progression for line managers. So, can you tell us a little bit about some of the types of training that are available as part and included with the essential support membership?
Yeah, sure. Look, we've designed some courses essentially for employee courses and for manager courses. And what the employee courses are really designed to deal with your key, more your compliance issues. So we've designed a workplace bullying, harassment, and discrimination course, which is a very important one to outline expected behaviours in the workplace and how to address those behaviours should they arise. So that's a really important one that, typically if you have any issues with these things with workers' comps or with if you're in the commission or if you're, in the Human Rights Commission, that the question will be asked about what training is provided. And this is a great way of delivering that without getting a facilitator in every 5 minutes, every time you've got a new employee. So that's something that our members have found really useful. Combined with that, we also have a social media module. So that's about how employees should use social media inside and outside of the workplace, and even how they should be interacting with their some of the cautions about how they should be interacting with other employees outside of work. We've also got a short module on working from home and manual handling. So again, working from home, just sort of the basics of how to sort of operate from home in a safe manner, and manual handling, it's more about identifying hazards and things like that. So those are all useful courses for businesses to implement, and we can assist them in rolling those out to their employees, and they have unlimited access to that as part of essential support. We've also got this notion of management training, and the management training covers 4 key things. It covers performance management, it covers training on leave entitlements, so understanding all of the leave entitlements that are available under the Fair Work Act and the NES, and how they work in detail. We've also got recruitment training and interviewing training. So what those courses are designed to do is explain how a good and efficient recruitment campaign should work if you're doing it yourself internally, and then giving you the skills to actually interview candidates. And what we find in this current market particularly is that a lot of businesses, and this is where we've really tried to help our members, are not doing that great a job of recruiting themselves. And where they often fail is in the professional engagement with the candidate, is that they sort of engage with the candidate in a very loose and unprofessional way to some extent, just because they don't really have a plan for what they're going to interact with the person on, and how they're going to conduct things like interviews and so on. So that's what we're finding, is that candidates are picking up on that a little bit, and the firms that are engaging with these people more professionally are doing better. And look, we have some other solutions around where that comes in with OnDemand HR's recruitment campaigns, but certainly, certainly that's something we can help as far as the training is concerned. So that delivers a bit of a foundation for that kind of management expertise.
Yeah, and outside of recruitment, I know that one of the biggest and probably, to be fair, the least reported challenges that are facing businesses throughout 2022 has been mental health for their employees. And I know that OnDemand HR includes, as part of its essential support membership, access to EAP services. Do you want to share a little bit about how this works and why this EAP services are so important?
Yeah, I think EAP services are important for 2 reasons. I think that obviously there can be a number of stressful things in the workplace that can occur. And, you want your employees to know that they're supported, even if it's the case that the business is, telling them that their performance is not up to scratch, or that there's something that, they might be subject to an investigation, or might be subject to some sort of, disciplinary or termination process. But we still want to demonstrate that, that the business is supporting them. Why I really like EAP though is I think it prevents a lot of workers' compensation claims, because you only got to look at mental health claims in workers' compensation, and that those claims cost businesses very, very large amounts of money. I was presenting on this subject not that long ago, and one thing that was absolutely staggering is that the average mental health claim in terms of lost time in weeks was greater than all of the other types of workers' compensation injuries, which I just found was quite unbelievable. So what that's really telling us is that, well, if there's any way that we can mitigate that by giving people early access to counselling and them not feeling the need to go down workers' comp to get on a sort of a more longer term mental health kind of arrangement, then that's a much more, I think, efficient way of dealing with it. And yeah, so that's something we offer to all of our members as part of the essential support. They have access to it for free, and then ultimately, if they book sessions, well, then obviously there's a cost incurred of that. But it's a very good tool. We've had some clients using it quite well. We've had one client in particular who's come back and said, look, this particular staff member is doing fantastic work for me. She is, billing a hell of a lot of work, and we just want to continue supporting her in doing that. And she's been using the service on a regular basis. So those are the sort of stories that you like to hear, because that shows you that things are working. Yeah, so that's a little bit about the EAP, and I guess how it works in conjunction with our essential support offering.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. And just being conscious of time, moving into some of the matters that we know that performance management, termination, redundancy are all really challenging areas for SMEs to navigate through. There's a lot of legislation. There's some consequences if they get it wrong. And quite often, one of the areas that they do make mistakes that we've seen in the past have been around the procedural or other types of, I guess, errors that they might make. Do you want to tell us what kind of support that our members could expect, specifically when it comes to these areas?
Yeah, sure. Look, I guess when it comes to things like, redundancies, terminations, disciplinary matters, we'll always talk to a client, first of all, about a strategy. So what's the strategy that we're going to implement here? Agree on that. Then we would prepare on behalf of the client the written correspondence, and that could be quite different depending on whether it's disciplinary or redundancy or something like that. We provide detailed meeting plans for the client to obviously conduct the meeting, so they know exactly what to do when they carry out one of these meetings with their employees. Obviously, the advice we're giving, it's backed by the experience we've had in the commission, and we're trying to obviously achieve their commercial objectives, as we always would look at. And that's the real focal point of our advice all the way through. So that we get complete support from start to finish on these things, and we deal with anything unusual that comes up in these processes as well.
Yeah, I think you downplayed a little bit on the strategy session. So obviously the strategy is the most important part, where I think the advice that's in line with the business interest really comes out. It's around, okay, well, this is the situation. What is the outcome? Putting that plan in place, and the rest of that is just, I guess, holding people's hands in terms of the execution. But the true value comes, in my view, in the strategy and making sure that that part is in line with the business outcomes that it wants to achieve. And thinking a little bit, that commission experience enables us to think a little bit outside the box when it comes to strategy. You're not going to get a cookie cutter approach to each termination, each redundancy process. It's really about thinking outside the box in order to achieve that outcome that's in line with the business interests. I know also that one of the most common requests we get from our members is to give them some assistance when it comes to putting together employment contracts and drafting the contracts, and assisting them with onboarding their clients. And I know we do it in an electronic fashion these days. Do you want to tell us a little bit about why we do it this way and what the process is?
Yeah, look, I think we would be one of the very few HR consulting organizations that gives their clients complete support on this. So a lot of the time, what you'll get with a service is, here's a bunch of templates, go away and do it yourself. And often, circumstances change. There might be special circumstances with a particular person, and frankly, we've seen it ourselves in the past when we have given clients templates for things. They've looked at them themselves and bastardized them themselves, and ended up with something that's could be compromised or unrecognizable from its original form. So what we've done for our clients, again, as part of essential support, is we've actually offered them, each and every time they need to prepare an employment contract or need to onboard a new employee, we'll just take care of the whole lot. So basically, they come to us with the details of the new employee. We complete the employment contract, have it for approval, have it sent out with a range of other things via our Zoho Sign platform, and that in particular has been a very clients love that service and they use it regularly. They don't have to worry about, should I write this in the contract? Should I not write this in the contract? They don't have to rely on some templates they bought on a HRIS or something like that make out that they can solve everyone's problems. The other thing I'd probably just point out as well on the documents that you raised in your previous question, Andrew, about strategy and disciplinary matters and those sort of things. Again, we would do the same thing with those. We would tailor those documents to the specific circumstances at play. It's not, here's the standard disciplinary letter, here's the standard termination letter, here's the standard invitation to meeting letter. We just don't believe in that sort of style of advice. And frankly, if all of you're getting is templates on those things, well, what are you paying for in that situation? So we really want to be, customized, tailored, and look after the client's affairs from start to finish, not sort of cutting corners and just giving documents so that the client can potentially make mistakes along the way.
Perfect. I love that. So I know HR and workplace relations is constantly changing. A good part of my day is spent about researching what changes are happening and how it may impact our clients. Things like the Fair Work Act, modern awards, and other bits of legislation that impact businesses are constantly changing. How does OnDemand HR help members to stay on top of these obligations and ensure that they're paying their staff the right rates as well?
Look, we'd always be in regular contact with our clients about any changes in the modern award that impacts them, how it specifically impacts them as well. We would discuss things like, their annualized salaries, whether they're keeping up, whether they need to be reviewed in light of the changes. We'd talk to them about, casual obligations for conversion. But even other things in the past, we've helped them with things like JobKeeper, where they've, had to know what they've supposed to have paid a certain person in certain situations, whether they're working above or less than the JobKeeper amount and so on. And yeah, look, we've always been giving our clients, again, back to my previous point, customized advice on these things and working through them. And that sort of feeds into the initial work we spoke about with the workplace relations review. Once we know what structures we're dealing with, once we know what modern award coverage classifications we've got, this sort of stuff just follows naturally in delivering advice and recommendations to the client on how they should address changes as they come about.
No, fantastic. I think that covers a lot from my perspective around our essential support. Is there anything else that you wanted to add before we wrap up today?
Look, only to say that, look, we do deal with a much smaller number of clients these days, and we really believe now we want to work with clients on a substantial basis, work with them regularly. And the one thing I would say about working with OnDemand HR is that we will know your business intimately, and we will be able to give you advice straight away with no time being wasted, and we will focus on commercial outcomes. We won't avoid risk. We will look at risk and say, is that manageable? And we'll provide high levels of serviceability in terms of the number of consultants we've got and the number of clients we work with regularly.
Fantastic. Clint, thanks very much for your time. I've got no doubt that our viewers have gained some valuable insights as to why they might want to consider OnDemand HR membership and really what to expect behind the scenes should they choose to become a member. So really appreciate it. I'll speak to you soon.
Thanks very much, Andrew. Thanks for the session, and keep up the good work, mate.
No worries. For those businesses that are out there that are facing a specific HR or workplace relations challenge, and they want to put everything that Clint's spoken about today to the test, I'm very excited to introduce you to some of the key members of our team here at OnDemand HR who are going to share with you details about our free HR consultation and strategic action plan. So thanks very much for joining us, everyone. And we're very much looking forward to HR Live next week, 10 a.m. on Friday. Topic to be confirmed, but I'm sure I'll be able to come up with something that is going to deliver certainty, confidence, and clarity when it comes to your HR and workplace relations affairs. Thanks very much again, and bye for now.
Does your business currently have a HR or workplace relations issue?
Are you unsure how to work through compliance issues but still achieve a good business outcome?
Why not take advantage of OnDemand HR's free 30-minute online consultation with an experienced HR consultant?
At the end of the consultation, we also provide you with a strategic action plan to resolve your current issues.
To see the types of matters we can help with and to schedule your consultation, please visit ondemandhr.com.au/advice.
We look forward to delivering certainty, confidence, and clarity for your business in your HR and workplace relations affairs.